All right, let's jump right in. We're looking at Chapter 12 of Faith Womack's book, No More Boring Bible Study, and we're tackling a subject that, let's be honest, can trip a lot of us up: poetry in the Bible, specifically the Psalms. And as you can see from the title, there is a lot more going on there than you might think.
I just love how the author Faith Womack kicks things off with this. It's so honest and so relatable, right? If you've ever found yourself staring at a poem or a psalm and just feeling totally lost, well, you are definitely not the only one.
So, first up, a poetry confession. Because really, to get to a new understanding of something, you have to be real about where you're starting. And the author really leads the charge here with a super frank admission about her own struggles.
Yeah, she does not hold back. For the longest time, Womack says she felt like an absolute Dumbo trying to read poetry. She just saw it as, well, fluff and nothing of substance. And what's so wild is how this directly affected her Bible reading. For years, she just skipped the book of Psalms entirely.
And this quote just perfectly captures the issue, doesn't it? She could connect on a very surface level. We've all had that, bro, same moment. But that's where it ended. She'd get the vibe, the emotion, and then just move on, thinking there was nothing deeper to really dig into there.
And that brings us to the big turning point. Because that whole view of the Psalms is just a bunch of emotional poems, well, that was about to get completely turned on its head.
This is the moment it all changed. Instead of just flipping past them, Womack made a choice to actually lean in, to, in her own words, get nerdy and give the Psalms the same kind of serious study she would give to any other part of the Bible.
And the difference is just wow, a complete 180. The old view saw the Psalms as this big, overwhelming ball of emotion. Just fluff, an emotional diary. But the new discovery? Suddenly they were information-rich, theologically convicting, and just packed with literary genius. So what happened? What caused that huge shift?
Well, the key was a total shift in understanding what the Psalms actually are. They aren't just poems. There's something way more powerful and intentional. You could say they're theology, but packaged as songs.
Now, this definition is a total game changer. Womack starts calling the Psalms theological testimonies. Just think about that for a second. In the same way the Gospels give us a historical record of Jesus, the Psalms give us a historical record of a whole nation's faith, all of it. Their belief, their doubt, their struggles, their praise, it's all there.
So let's really break this down. The Psalms are theology, and they are wisdom. They're a core piece of Israel's heritage. But maybe the biggest deal of all? These are the words Jesus himself quoted over and over. This was his prayer book too.
And they're not just passive words on a page. The Psalms have a job to do. They actively teach God's people to remember. They remind Israel who they are. They declare these amazing truths about God. And then they invite us to actually live by those truths.
Okay, so that's all great, but what does it all mean for us, right now, thousands of years later? Well, this is where history becomes deeply personal. It's where it transforms into what Womack calls a timeless heart cry.
This is the bridge. By reading these theological testimonies, it's like we're being invited to step into that same story. We get to join with ancient Israel and use their words to remind ourselves of our own identity as God's people. This setting might be ancient, but the experience is completely universal.
And this really is the biggest takeaway. The Psalms give us a vocabulary for our own spiritual journey. You know those times when you just don't have the words? In your deepest doubts, your biggest questions, or your highest praise? The Psalms give you the words. They become your own heart cries.
So, we'll just leave you with this to think about. What if the oldest poems in the world weren't really about the past at all? What if they actually held a key to understanding your present?